Welcome to Finer Minds. I'm your host, Lakeisha Sala. November is Prematurity Awareness Month, and on today's episode, we have Sigma Omicron Zeta's Debbie Ann Campbell James, who is the co-lead for our March of Dimes ZPAP, and author Dr. Nikita Foreman and her daughter Amber Kate will be discussing her book, The Tiny Mouse, and also we'll talk about her being a part of the March of Dimes family. Hello, my name is Lakeisha Sala. Welcome to the Finer Minds podcast, episode 2. Today is about prematurity awareness, and we have a guest speaker today who's going to talk to us about the Zeta Premature Awareness Program. The acronym is Unpacked, and this is Debbie Ann Campbell James. How are you doing today?
Well, hello.
Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. It is an honor and a privilege to be here, especially in the month of November. And the month of November is a significant month in terms of prematurity awareness. So I am grateful for the opportunity to be here and just share some information with you.
Thank you. The information that you're sharing is also advertised to the community. So can you tell us a brief history about ZPAC, where it began, how it started, what are your duties?
Sure. So just to backtrack, so Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated and the March of Dimes have maintained a partnership for over 50 years. And that partnership really centers around issues of prematurity birth, defects, and infant mortality. And so one of the things that I really want the community to understand, because when we think of March of Dimes, we think of prematurity awareness, we often think it's just children who are preterm birth. I have the privilege to co-chair the March of Dimes and ZPAP committee as part of Sigma Omicron Zeta chapter right here in Gwinnett County. And so as committee members, one of our driving quote, and it's a quote from March of Dimes, is, "You may not know it, but every one of us has been supported by March of Dimes." The month of November, it was really, we highlight prematurity birth. And it's not just in America, but also across the globe. And so November, we really shine the light. We talk about what it is. We talk about the statistics. So for example, women of color are 50% more likely to give birth to premature birth. And then, of course, the impact of that is like we face about 130% higher rate of infant mortality. A lot of it, and I'm an educator, and so I do believe, because we live in America, and we have all these great advancement in medicine, but then of course there's disparities across the board. So we may think that because we've made this advancement that everyone has access, because there's a free clinic on the corner, because we have the health community center, that every mother is utilizing those programs. And that is not the case. There are women who have not even had prenatal care. And of course, there are things called maternity desert, where there's access to healthcare facilities are not there. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking even right here in Gwinnett County, there are, kids, young ladies who it has not been shared with them the importance of going to the doctor, checking up on themselves while they're pregnant, things like their diet and what they need to do to ensure that they maintain a healthy pregnancy.
So do you think that these statistics are for low income Black women?
More likely, you're going to find the disparities within low income communities. When you do have to make a decision between paying that copay to go see the doctor, in terms of low income, that is a factor. That is a factor that does impact our community.
Tell me a little bit more about a preterm baby, cite the definition.
Well, that's a great question, because a lot of times we hear preterm and we just automatically assume just a small baby, but there are just so many, and I just want to make sure as we are talking to the public that I'm providing information. So there are categories in terms of preterm. So you have late preterm, and a baby that's born between 34 and 36 weeks. So those are usually the ones that you're less likely to hear about. Mm-hmm. Then you have that moderately preterm. So there's levels to this. So a baby that's born between 32 and 34 weeks, still, the survival chances are very higher. Yes. Then you have very preterm, and that's babies born at least 32 weeks of pregnancy. And then the ones that you have those extremely preterm, your baby's born before 25 weeks of pregnancy. And those are usually in the general public society when you think about prematurity. That's where you're thinking. Right. And so for us as a community, as women of color, there are many of us who fall into those categories, right? And we're not even aware of it. And so having the education will help to as more preventative in a sense. And so as we talk about young women, you shouldn't wait until you're at that age that you think you want to become pregnant.
Where do you think the education should start? It should start in school? Because if their mom doesn't know or hasn't been educated on the prenatal, how will they know?
Well,
where would it start?
When we talk about school, now that can be a little bit tricky because they do have mandates for what we can do in the school setting. But I think the more and more that we start to talk to our sisters, mm-hmm. then even though you may not have known that information, we do have that common bond with women. We do, not all women have the capabilities of giving birth, but that is a common, we do bring life.
Right.
And I think as women, having those conversations with our young women, that's where it starts. And it's not, you don't even have to have those conversations around pregnancy per se, because I know in the Black community, that's a taboo.
Right.
Girl, don't get pregnant. Don't do, you make sure you don't do this and make sure you don't do that. And that's the early part of the year. So I think we traumatize our young women of, creating the sense that pregnancy is so bad that we miseducated it. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, then you have the other aspect of it where the women on the other stage of life where you think you're ready, and then now you find yourself within these complications or you're experiencing these different challenges. So I think for this, in terms of preterm, advocate for healthy lifestyle, healthy living. Really start there with our young children, our young girls coming up, keeping them active, right? Encouraging them to treat their bodies as a temple. And this is not only around prematurity or the ability to bear children, but think about all the other chronic diseases that are prevalent, diabetes, heart diseases, right. Stroke, that are prevalent within our obesity.
Right.
So really starting there, as a mom, as a parent, what the meals that you're preparing, because we it's funny when you think about our diet. Mm-hmm. It came from grandma and them. It really comes down. And so as we start to bring this awareness, as we start to talk about risk factors, as as an educator, I tell the students, don't mess with alcohol because it kills your brain cell. You don't want to kill your brain cell. So really taking that approach mm-hmm. to our young women to let them know, you go off to college and you feel like, okay, I want to experiment. Think about those experiments that you're doing and the long-term implication on your body and how that could potentially impact your future children, your pregnancy, mm-hmm. whether it in a sense where you may have some type of birth defect or it inhibits you from even being able to bear children.
That's true.
So that would be the biggest message I would want to say to our community. Think about those women who are coming behind us and to charge our women who are beyond this point to turn back around and start to educate them. Those who want to be grandmas mm-hmm. or super grandmas, start to educate our young women to take care of their bodies, take care of their health, live those healthy lifestyles.
Absolutely, I agree. What about the risk factors?
So there's some risk factors, and like I said, I want to make sure I am correct because again, I am not a medical professional, but your weight. Mm-hmm. We talked about obesity, right? So that's a factor. smoking, drinking. I know that one is something that we know naturally we go through. Sometimes it's harder to follow. Right. But smoking, drinking, that's an impact. Those chronic health conditions. So, I really start with that healthy lifestyle. Obesity does play a significant role in a lot of the chronic diseases that we actually experience. Absolutely. High blood pressure. Mm-hmm. And you think about pregnancy, you have a lot of women, hypertension. Right. They may end up having hypertension during that depression, anxiety, all of those different things. So not only are we talking about our physical health, but our mental health. All of that plays a role. Your environment in ensuring that you do have not a healthy baby. Now, will it 100% say will prevent premature birth? No. But at least that's something that we can do to ensure that we are reducing those those risk factors. So again, the motto, as March Dime says, healthy moms, strong babies. So it all starts with us, and it is up to us to do our parts as women, as Black women.
Okay, and can you tell me how Zeta Phi Beta sorority can be a part of the solution?
Well, I can speak specifically to the work that Sigma Omicron Zeta chapter is doing, which is the support of one of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated national initiative, which is ZPAP. And as I mentioned before, we talked about the disparities in terms of income and being able, as simple as not only health insurance, but also be able to afford those copay to go see a doctor. And so one of the programs that I'm very excited about, and we do this in November, in our chapter, we're actually fellowshipping at Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church in Norcross on November 16th. And the purpose of that is, when we think of community, we think of our churches. Right. And so one of the ways to kind of a workaround in terms of those barriers of affordability is we partner with House of Worship. And in that's an opportunity for us to bring information to the community. For us, the work that we do, one of the things that we feature is risk factors for prematurity birth. We talk heavily on maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And that is one way we believe that we're doing the work of not only bringing this awareness, but helping to overcome some of those barriers that are preventing women, especially women of color, from gaining access. Or because sometimes you don't know, right? You're not educated. You're not educated, and the biggest thing, and the March of Dimes mission is healthy moms, strong baby. As we talk about ZPAP, we try to think holistically, of families who are dealing with this. And one of the things that we would love to do this year is to partner with our hospital, and I know we're in Northside Gwinnett here, and see how we can support families. Because it's hard to leave your job.
The NICU
families, yes, to support those families. Because when you think about it, you give birth, your child is about 2 pounds. Right. Can't even fit in the palm of your hand. As a mother, just being away from your newborn, and those families may have to travel back and forth. So we're looking for ways to make impact, not just from the pocketbook ministry, right, but where we can tangible touch and feel and see the family's life, and just even to be there as support for them. Okay. And so, we're in the season of prematurity awareness. These are some of the things that we are, as a committee, we're working towards.
Okay, so you said that is November 16th at Hopewell.
November 16th at Hopewell.
What's the start time?
So we'll be there at 10 a.m. And this is open to the entire community. Come out, interact with us, speak with us, ask questions. I will say this, we're not medical professionals. We may have some medical professionals amongst us, but we are no shape, form. We're just here to distribute information, and hopefully we can direct you to where you can go to if you fall into that category that you do need here.
Okay, so are you taking donations, or is there like a link or anything like that?
Well, we, of course, to do this work, of course you think about, giving information, but there's a cost associated, right? And so, in addition to what we're doing here in our community, we also support the big mission of March of Dimes. So, fast forward to next year, we do the March for Babies. And that is one of the things that we actually raise funds for. And those funds go, while it's not solely concentrated to Gwinnett County, it does go to further the research, to further those research that, you can be of a certain birth weight and you're not faced with additional medical challenges. And so during that service, there will be opportunities for individuals to make contribution, and that will go towards our March for Babies. Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Hello, I want to welcome Nikita Foreman. She is the author of The Tiny Mouse, a book about her story, about her tiny mouse, which is her premature baby.
Absolutely. You're right.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you began to think about the concept of writing a book?
Oh,
wow.
Story. So it's definitely a journey. Thank you for inviting me here. So first and foremost, I was a 35-year-old, a healthy 35-year-old, already with a daughter. And my family and I decided that we wanted to expand. So lo and behold, Amber Kate, she was
the name, by the way.
Thank you. She was in my belly, and I remember that we were at our house, sitting, eating dinner, having Bible study as a family. And after Bible study, my husband said, "Hey, y'all, I had a vision about Amber Kate." So at this point, I am 23 weeks. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he said, she was a tiny little girl. She was about 4 pounds. I was like, boy, please. Like, God ain't showed you that. That's a 4-pound baby.
Right.
Like, God gonna have to tell me. So I went into labor the next day. The next day.
At 23 weeks.
At 23 weeks. Did not know what was going on with my body because, like I mentioned before, I had an older daughter, and I was a healthy 35-year-old. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking, I wasn't going out to the clubs. That's what they tell me. All these young girls drinking, smoking, going out to the club. You all unhealthy. You gonna have your baby early. That wasn't me.
That wasn't the case.
We were at home having Bible study, and my husband said he had a vision of a 4-pound baby. What in the world? Went into labor the next day, and they stopped my labor contraction. So I'm like, okay, so what does this mean? We are still clueless because, of course, we are uneducated about premature birth. So my husband's running around, I'll go and get the car seat. I'll go and get everything. We're thinking, okay, have the baby, go home. No, that does not happen. So they stopped the labor, and I ended up having Amber Kate the next week. She was a 24-weeker. They still didn't think that she was going to make it. They immediately put her in an incubator. And that's scary because if you don't know anything about the NICU world, the neonatal world, it's a scary place. You have your baby, you're supposed to hold your baby, enjoy your baby, hug, kiss. I couldn't hold my baby. I couldn't touch her, I couldn't kiss her. I looked inside of an incubator, and it's basically a bed with like a glass around her, and she is developing in front of your eyes. And the sweet and precious thing about it, my nurse who was by my side, her name was Heather, she was actually 24 weeks. So she was
24 weeks pregnant.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She's able to see what is going on the outside. Right. So we share that connection. And my husband and I were both educators. So they would come and say, she's desetting. She's not breathing. She's not doing this. You're going to have to tell her goodbye tonight. Okay, what does that mean? I'm not understanding. We're educators. So I need an education language. Tell me in terms of letter grades. Right. Because, ABC. We understand that. Right. A lot of times we got the letter F. My baby was failing. A lot of times we did get the doctors running, trying to help get her back breathing. Yes. We did get C minuses. We did get a B. And in my mind, I'm like, there's nothing to support moms in the NICU. We go in with hope, and sometimes we leave with tears. We go back again with hope. We leave with more tears. I just wanted to write a book that just give everybody faith and say, okay, everybody's telling you the time is not right, but God's timing is always right.
Right.
So you just have to have faith. And we were in there for 4 months. I stayed in the hospital with Amber Kate for 4 months.
Every day.
Every day. I was living in the Ronald McDonald House. And again, you are not educated about these things. You go to McDonald's and they say, hey, you want to
like to donate. You will round up to
you would like to round up. And a lot of times people are like, no, but
Right.
y'all, it's a real place. I did not have to make a meal. My husband did not have to make a meal. The Ronald McDonald House provided everything, shelter, food. They gave me things for the free. I was able to walk to Amber Kate's NICU because in Savannah, the Ronald McDonald House is right across the street.
No, it's at 24 hours. You can see her anytime.
24 hours. It was no limit. So I was excited about that. I was thankful for that. The support that was given through the Ronald McDonald House, and everybody just chimed in. It was just a surreal feeling.
That's good. So you picked a mouse. But I know the mouse represents your daughter, but why did you pick the mouse?
So honestly, she looked like a tiny mouse.
Really?
She was 1 pound, 10 ounces. Her skin was very transparent. I could see through her skin, veins. I had to watch my daughter develop. So if you know anything about anything, she was as tiny as a mouse, 1 pound, 10 ounces. And we have different pictures within the book I would like to show you. My husband's wedding ring was fitting on her foot.
Oh my gosh, it really was.
It really was. And
Wow.
this is Amber Kate. Here's another picture of us. She was able to hold my finger. And as you can see, she was hooked up to so many different things. But yeah, it was just a true story about Amber Kate and her resilience.
So as you're trying to care for your premature baby, you're also healing. How did you deal with that?
Oh, the healing came from me seeing her. So in an excerpt from my page, I said, in the middle of my prayers, Amber Kate laughed and smiled. I found myself laughing with her and crying out for joy. This milestone alone was enough for me to realize I didn't have anything to frown about, because as women, we want to have our children and them to be okay. We want them to understand obstacles will come, but we will get over those obstacles. And in those times, in those moments, you're seeing your child like that, you don't know.
Right.
The doctors will tell you your child will not make it. The doctors will tell you that your child possibly won't be able to talk. And that was Amber Kate for the first 2 years of her life.
Not talking.
Not talking. So we did a lot of sign languages. The doctors will tell you she won't be able to walk. The doctors will tell you that she will not be able to learn. But Amber Kate now is 9. She's in 4th grade. She's an AB honor roll student with grit, with a lot of support, with her mom and daddy on her behind.
Okay.
But I will take that, and it is definitely fine. So I said, if my child was in the NICU and could find ways to laugh and smile through her situation, then how could I complain?
That's true.
How can I cry when she was in the NICU with things hooked up to her? And it was just
So she was discharged at 4 months.
yes, 4 months.
So
but
they send you home with this little.
so yes, they sent her home at 4 pounds. Remember, my husband said he had a vision and she was 4 pounds. She was born at 1 pound, 10 ounces, and she went home at 4 pounds. So we took her as a newborn, being a 4-pound, even though she was 4 months.
Right.
Shout out to Zeta Phi Beta, Brunswick, Georgia chapter. They just heard that a soror was in need. And when I tell you, they showed up and showed out. They didn't know my first name, my last name, but they just knew I was a part of the final woman, Zeta Phi Beta. And they showed me love. They supported me and my child. They asked how they could help. And I was like, I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. So super excited about that. But it was still work. It was still a whole lot of work.
After you brought her home.
After I brought her home, I remember lying in the hospital, and even before that, in the ambulance, when I told my husband I was going in labor, like, God, why me? Mm-hmm. Me and my husband, we're educators. Like, we educate other people. You're not supposed to drink. You're not supposed to smoke. We get our checkups. Why me?
Did they tell you why? Did they know?
No, but the Lord spoke to me that night and he said, why not you? Mm. Like, who are you that this can't happen to you? Mm-hmm. So I shut my mouth and I took every lesson to be learned. And I am trying to educate other women to talk about how to overcome, not even overcome, but how to get through their prematurity and their premature birth. Because it's not about the lack of knowing, but how to overcome it, how to get through it. And the challenges are going to be there. The challenges are going to come. But how can we be resilient enough to push through?
Okay. And I also see that you are an ambassador family for March of Dimes.
Yes, 2018. So after that, y'all, we just went head over heels in love with March of Dimes. So we became the ambassador family, talking about Amber Kate and her story. Because I'm going to be honest, when the young lady before us started talking, Sarah, she was saying, okay, the 34 weekers. Yeah, you have 34 weekers in there. But it was so many people in the NICU. Mm-hmm. We used to say, oh, those are toddlers. Because those babies were 5 and 6 pounds. Like, wait.
Right?
Oh, they pass it. They'll be out in the NICU in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So we'd be like, hey, all right, girl, bye. God bless you. You've graduated. You made it. Right. But when she said the most severe was the 24, we were at 24 weeks. And the doctor said, y'all won't make it. Y'all will not pull out. But we pulled out, and it was just so unreal, the testimonies that we've had. So I'm saying that to say we went head over heels with the March of Dimes just to get the word out. Again, not to overcome, but to just understand.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And most people say, oh, single parents, teenage parents. No, I'm married with 35. I'm 35. Healthy. Again, it could happen to anybody. And the doctors never told me what it was. I knew my body, though. Mm-hmm. Ladies, listen to your body. I had a child before. When Amber Kate was in my stomach, at 22 weeks, I kept saying, Jeremy, something's going on. And he was like, you're just older. And we just laughed it off.
Things are different.
Things are different. You know, your body don't, you know.
It's not what it was.
It's not what it was. So I'm like, okay. And then I would say, honey, something is going on. And he was like, you listen to your body.
What were you feeling?
Sharp pains. I felt the bottom. Amber Kate was just very heavy down below. And I'm like, okay, is she just trying to settle in? Like, it's just too early. 22, 23 weeks. It was just too early. She was just settling in, and my bottom felt very heavy. That's the only thing I can describe. So yes.
She was moving around and everything at that time?
Perfectly fine. I would go to every visit, and they would say,
everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Your baby is moving around. I hear a strong heartbeat. Oh, she's going to be long. She's going to be tall. They never said she was going to be early.
She just wanted to come out.
She wanted to come out. And the essence of this, the tiny mouse, everybody's going to say, oh, it's not time. Oh, it's not time. And the beautiful part of this story, I used to live in Brunswick, Georgia. I connected with a beautiful young lady by the name of Mary Ann Clauston, went through the same thing, and she's my illustrator. So she's able to testify about having a premature son. He's autistic, but all is well. He's here. He is here. They actually gave me a choice. They said when Amber Kate would come, when I delivered her, I could try to save her by doing everything or just have her in my arms and allow for her to pass away. So I said, oh no. Yeah, they gave me that option because at that time, 24 was the absolute earliest. If she would have came a day earlier, she wouldn't have made it. They would not even have tried. So right at 24 weeks, my child came.
Wow. And today, how old is she?
She is 9 years old. She will be 10 January 28, 2016. Yes, January 28, 2016. So she will be 10 years old, and she is lively, bubbly.
You would never know.
You would never know, but she has a story to tell. She's supposed to be here. Absolutely.
I'm Amber Kate.
And I am Nikita Foreman.
And this is the Tiny Mouse.
What is the Tiny Mouse about?
It is about my birth and how I was created and how I was alive. And it's about a lot of things that that I like and
In your premature birth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how you made it through.
Yeah.
And how you're resilient.
Yeah.
All right. And how you have faith the size of mustard seed.
No.
Yeah, mustard seed, girl.
Yeah.
So you can find this book, The Tiny Mouse, on Amazon. So type in The Tiny Mouse and type in Nikita Foreman. You will find this book, The Tiny Mouse, about Amber Kate Foreman, on Amazon.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Finer Minds, brought to you by the ladies of Sigma Omicron Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. We hope today's conversation inspired thoughts, connections, and a little elevation for your mind.